today's weekly live video training is all about giving you the 10 hottest tips to building confidence on camera. In a lot of my videos, usually I go into one topic really deeply and kind of share a lot on this. This is going to be a little different. We're going to do like rapid fire going through the 10 reasons why people struggle with confidence, and then my 10 kind of best pieces of advice. Take what you want, leave what you don't. But I hope today this training is what empowers you to start getting on camera and just get out of your own way so that you can massively start to impact your audience with your video. So if you're here watching the training live, drop me a hashtag live. Or if you are watching the replay, you can drop me a replay, hashtag replay as well. And I want to do just a very quick story time for all of you. So for those of you who don't know, in October of 2019, I quit my job. And by January 2020, I had officially left. I was done. I closed the chapter. And by January 2020, I was a full-time entrepreneur, right? I was living the dream. I was so excited because this is what I'd worked so hard for. Like, now I had endless time to create content, endless time to work on my website, time to work on my courses, time to talk to prospective clients. And here's the thing. If you have stepped into full-time entrepreneurship, you know that things are a huge struggle at the beginning because everything is sort of new and setting up your schedule is awkward, and things that shouldn't take a lot of time sometimes end up taking a really long time. One of those for me was video content, right? It used to suck up all of my day. I spent hours and hours planning content and writing scripts and recording and re-recording and doing all this crazy editing and like putting overlays on my videos and then figuring out hashtags. And the final product was maybe like 5 minutes, and it was so freaking awkward. Like, I have some of those videos. If you want to see some of those videos, comment awkward video. I will show them to you. This is from when I was a leadership coach. The whole thing it was just terrible, right? And here's the root of the issue. Here was the real issue that I struggled with the entire process. And that was having the courage and the confidence to show up exactly where I was. And through the video creating process, I told myself I needed like so many different things, right? I told myself I needed to edit my video, that I needed the perfect background, that I needed the perfect message and it to sound perfect. I needed to have the right outfit and the right look. And when I watch those, like, it's so awkward and just like isn't representative of me as a coach and a speaker and as someone that, had already at that point impacted so many people. It wasn't me. It wasn't authentic. Like, it was great that I was working, but it wasn't representative. And again, the reason I'm sharing this is because we're going to be talking about the 10 tips to building confidence, right? And I told myself when I was new and full-time that I needed all those things, right? I needed things to look a certain way, when in reality, today and how you approach your video strategy in general is about challenging your belief system. And when I say that, I mean, do you really need to edit video for it to be successful? Do you really need to look a certain way or have a certain outfit to be successful? Do you need to have a perfect message for it to be successful? And I know some of you might be telling yourself you just need X or you just need Y, when in reality, we actually need to question our belief system and start to build confidence using some really incredible strategies that we are going to talk about instead. And like I said, by the end of this, I want you to be taking action. I want you to feel empowered, and I want you to be ready to go with your video strategy. So we're going to dive into those 10 things. My first question for all of you, though, is on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at now with your confidence on video? 1 being like, I have no confidence at all, to 10, I'm super confident, taking action, killing it with my video strategy? Drop them in the comments. I will read them out. Where are you at on a scale of 1 to 10? So I'm going to wait. I'm going to read some of those out loud. And if you guys, just so you know, if you're not part of the Video Skills Up, it's a monthly membership. It's $9 a month. I've got the link in the description. I've got an entire 5-day confident on camera challenge that literally walks you through step by step what videos to be doing and like how to build this confidence in real time. So definitely check that out after this. I see someone saying 7. I see April saying 5. Someone saying 5. Cool. Keep posting your numbers. I'm curious to see. I see Catherine here. Hey, Catherine saying 8.5. Hey, Ray. Okay, cool. So let's go into this and let's start talking about these 10. So how I'm going to go through these 10, because I want to do this in a way that is really helpful, is I'm going to go through, you know, a reason why you might not be confident on camera, and then the advice that I would give. And we're going to vacillate. I'm going to go through the reason, and then I'm going to go through the advice, and then we'll move to the next tip. So the first reason that we're going to go through that a lot of my students, this is after working with almost 2,000 students the last 2 years, a lot of students tell me that they don't feel confident on camera because they don't understand the deeper strategy. Like they don't understand like where this is going. Like, how am I supposed to get someone from watching my video to sold? How am I supposed to create content that gets people reaching out to me, right? There's not a bigger picture that's there, right? Comment yes below if you feel like that's you. But that brings me to the first tip, right? If you're not feeling confident on camera and this resonates with you, where you're like, I don't feel like I have a strategy, I don't know where I'm taking people, my best advice is before you keep going live, before you keep creating videos, make sure you've got a very clear customer journey, or you can think of it as a blueprint where you have mapped out if someone, you know, when someone joins your Facebook group or finds you on YouTube or follows you on Instagram, what is the process? What are the 6 or 7 steps to take someone from cold, just finding you, all the way to sold? It's the first question I ask people, because with your video strategy, you want to get predictable. You want to know what kind of return on investment you can expect. Eventually, you want to get to this point where, let's say 100 people join your Facebook group. You know how many of those 100 you're going to convert with your videos, because you've got a journey, you've got a process where you can measure, right? So let me know if that's you. I see Catherine saying it was me, but I'm actually getting better. That's amazing. So that's the first piece why people don't feel confident on camera. Sometimes it's that they don't understand the bigger picture or the strategy. Let's go to tip number 2. And I'm going back and forth between the screens. So if you see me looking, that's why. Problem 2, like why sometimes people don't feel confident on camera, is because they don't have a flow or a process for their video creation. They're sort of just winging it. Or maybe they just wake up and they're like, today is the day I go live. Or maybe they get fired up about something and they are like, I'm going to record a video because I'm fired up, right? It's all about when they're confident. It's all about when they're passionate, right? It's not based off of a process, and that is not sustainable, right? That's when you're going to get that hit to your confidence, because you're not being sustainable. You're not showing up consistently, and then you're not honing the skills, right? And so this leads me to tip number 2 right here, where confident video creators have a process. They've developed a process and they have gotten rid of decision fatigue. This is huge. Decision fatigue is when you've got so many options that it's so overwhelming. Like, think about if you've ever gone to a restaurant. This is 100% me. Personal experience. When I go to a restaurant, I have to literally look at the menu before, because I'm so overwhelmed when I go and sit there. Because I don't know why. It's a weird thing. I'm like, feel so much pressure, like to pick the right thing and like to not squander the opportunity and blah, blah. It's so stupid. But I get that like overwhelmed feeling. And it's the same thing for video creation, right? Where there's so many options for topics. There's so many places you could record, so many ways this could go, that you want to get rid of as many decisions as possible, So for my students, my video marketing accelerator students, my video skills lab students, there is a flow, right? They use a content planning template where they plan out their next 4 to 5 lives using, our set templates. From there, for each week, you are writing out your script in 15 minutes or less using the formula. So if you've seen my videos before on the script formula, the highly converting video script, we've got the hook, the crazy not to say promise, the call to action, the content, and it's just so formulaic. It gets rid of decisions and it just gets you in this rhythm. It gets you in this flow where you can keep moving. Where again, if you have that decision fatigue where you're trying to make all these decisions and reinvent the wheel every week, right? It's going to be exhausting. Your confidence will take that hit because you're going to constantly feel like you don't know what you're doing, right? So comment yes. If this is making sense, comment yes. Let me know if you have any questions so far. I see there's quite a bit of people here watching on Facebook, on YouTube. So let me know if you have questions so far, but we're going to move on to tip number 3 right now. So tip number 3 is for those of you who have said that you feel like maybe you're just not sure if you are qualified enough to talk about a certain video topic. So sometimes our confidence takes a hit when we feel a little bit of imposter syndrome, when we're like, I don't know, am I really qualified enough to talk about leadership? Am I really qualified enough to talk about how to save money in 2022? Like whatever topic that you are teaching people about, how do you know that what your brain is telling you, right, where your brain is telling you you're not qualified enough, how do you know if that's BS or not? And the thing is, I hear a lot of coaches telling or advising that like you should just sort of like fluffy, where you're like, you should just believe in yourself and you should just know that you're meant for it and your audience is out there. And it's like, sure, but like, what if there's some possibility that like maybe you're not qualified and maybe you're not, like maybe, I don't know, but that's a question that you need to ask yourself. You need to prove to yourself that you are qualified. Filling yourself up with like fluffy, toxic positivity almost isn't it, right? Where you just tell yourself, I am good enough. I want to know, why do you believe that? And I want evidence. So for example, when I was thinking about quitting my job in 2019 to go on leadership coach, I had that same instinct where I was like, am I ready for this? Am I even qualified to create content on this? And I was like, okay, let me sit down and figure it out. And I was like, I've worked with X many leaders. I've gotten these results. I've done these things. And I listed it all out and I proved to myself, this is the thing I'm qualified for. But let's say if in 2019, if I tried to become a video marketing strategist, if I was like, prove to myself I'm ready for that, I couldn't have, right? Because I'd never created a video before 2020. So I was like, how am I supposed to do that, right? That would have been toxic positivity if I told myself I was ready, right? So this is so important. And here's the thing. When you feel that sense of imposter syndrome, if you've got the results, right? If you know you've got those results, that should help you right away start to build that confidence because it's real, it's tangible, it's not toxic positivity. But also there's this amazing thing that I like to use. And there's this like amazing process that I like to, this little test, I should say, that I like to do with my clients. This is what I did with myself. And it's called the Tony Robbins test, right? And when I was new to creating content, I was really intimidated. I was like, how am I supposed to create content that's good enough? How am I supposed to be good enough? But here's the thing, my paradigm, my thoughts on what was good enough was like a Tony Robbins or like a Jenna Kutcher or Marie Forleo. I was like, how am I going to be Tony Robbins? It's like, I'm not. It's crazy. I'm not trying to be Tony Robbins. I can't compete with him. I'm not trying to help Tony Robbins or be Tony Robbins. What you need to do and what I needed to do was get really, really good at understanding, here's where I'm at. Here's what results I've gotten. and then have the ability to look over your shoulder and see all the people that are 3, 4, 5 steps behind you. Grab those people and drag them to where you are. And you're going to be moving even further along, right? So you're bringing them with you along your journey. So it's not about comparing yourself to the best of the best. It's knowing where you are at, what results you have gotten, and then knowing how to look behind you and take the people who are behind you with you, right? This is so incredibly important. So let me know if this is helpful so far. If this makes sense, comment Tony Robbins test in the chat so I know that you are with me, so that we're good. And we're going to move on to the next thing that blocks confidence, right? We're moving on to tip number 4. So another thing I hear all the time is people aren't feeling confident on camera because they're not sure if their message is giving enough value, or if their message is super clear. Like, how do they know that they're showing up and doing exactly what they should be for their audience? And the real issue is, how do they develop the clarity to know that, like, that, you know, this is exactly what their audience needs, right? At its core. So when you're wondering, am I providing enough value? It's our cue to start sharpening up exactly what it is we're trying to say. So here's what I do. Whenever someone is struggling with this, there's 3 questions that I make them answer, right? There's 3 questions to gaining a little bit more clarity. Question 1 is, where are you leading them? What's the call to action, right? What's the point of the video? What's the next step? Is it a call? Is it a challenge? Are they coming to a workshop? Are they applying to a program? What is the next step? After that, what is the number 1 takeaway that you want the audience to have? What's the win? What's the aha moment? And you got to be able to say this in 1 sentence or less. If it's taking you forever to get there, you don't have clarity. 1 sentence or less, 1 powerful statement. And then the last question is, what evidence do you have to support your win, your big, bold statement that you made in question 2? So if you can answer these things, if you can tell me where you're leading people, you can tell me what the win is you want them to have after watching this video, and what evidence you're using to support, I know that you have a good sense and a good handle on what you're communicating through the video. So for those of you that are like, I don't know if my message is clear or if I'm giving enough value, if you can answer those questions well, not like you answer the questions half-assed, you can answer them well, you should have that confidence start to be built, because you'll have that clarity. Confidence comes from clarity, right? So that is the problem. That's the problem that we just solved. Hopefully that helps for those of you who feel like you're not giving enough value. And then moving from that, because there's a lot of people who sometimes feel like they're overwhelming their audience. Like, maybe they're giving too much. Maybe they're word vomiting all over their audience. Maybe they are, it's just too much stuff, right? Let me know if you feel that way. But this is where my best advice for those of you who feel that way is to, tip number 5 is to utilize the 10% rule in content creation. So what that means is the 10% rule is where you're going to create 100% of the content, right? But you're going to go in remembering people are going to remember 10% of what you say, right? Especially if you give away a lot of stuff. Like, people remember 10%. And I feel like 10% is generous, right? Like, those of you who are watching this video today, I don't know if you're going to remember 10%. I think maybe you'll remember 5 to 7. It's not because you're stupid or you don't have what you're doing. There's just too much information that comes at us every single day. And if you're not encoding the information in a way that's conducive for long-term memory too, like you're not taking notes, or you're not, sitting down in a place that you can really focus, it's going to be hard to remember all that. Think about where people watch your videos. Maybe the kids are around them. Maybe they're driving and they're listening. Like, think about that. And when you're like, all right, I'm giving a lot of stuff, how do I get this down? Think about, like, people remember 10%. What is the number one thing? If they get anything from my video, what is the number one thing that they need to understand today for them to have some kind of win, some kind of aha moment? Right? So let me know, comment yes, let me know if this is making sense so far. But again, this is for those of you who feel like you just give too much, and that's knocking your confidence because you feel like you're overwhelming people, and is it really as effective, your videos as effective as they could be, right? So let me pause for a second. Let me take a breath because we are halfway through. We only have 5 of these tips left. Like I said, these are going to be like rapid fire. We're doing a lot in a more superficial way than normal. So if you have questions on any of this, drop them in the chat. And we're going to move on to the tip number 6, right? We're going to land on those last 5. So problem 6 that I see leading to tip 6 is that another really common problem is a lot of my students, before they get on camera, or when they finally do get on camera, or they try to get on camera, they just hate how they look or they sound, and they feel really, really overwhelmed by all that. Like, and I remember feeling the same. Like, I hated the sound of my voice. Like, it was hard for me to even listen back to some of my videos because it was so awkward. Or maybe they struggle with like a physical imperfection. Like for me, like for a long time, it was like acne, like having acne and like not wanting to be in front of the camera. Or maybe it's like something else, whatever it is you struggle with. Maybe you're worried about your weight or hair loss or whatever imperfection you're worried about. Right. And I hope that, like, for those of you who do feel that, my hope is that like today, like the breakthrough that you have, the tip that you take away is that substance over superficial is so important. And what I mean by that, and you might have heard me talk about this before, but what you say in your video is always going to trump what you look like or what you sound like, right? And I'll give an example. Like, recently I was on a live I was watching the live as a student. I won't say who it was, but I was watching live as a student, and like it looked amazing. Like the lighting was perfect. The person was like super dressed up. They looked great. Like the whole thing looked perfect. But like as I'm listening to this live, it just sort of like went on, and like the person really wasn't a great speaker. Like it was hard to listen to. It was hard to get through. I just like could not connect, and I didn't feel like I was getting anything from this. And I was like, okay, I'm going to leave. So it just did not matter how much effort they put into the appearance of it. Like the content sucked, if I'm just being really blunt, right? It was not good. Me as a video coach, I was like, wow, like these people need some help with their video content. It wasn't great. So substance over superficial, like focus so hard on the message that you are trying to convey that the rest really doesn't matter so much, right? It starts to lessen, right? So let me know if this is something that you are struggling with. I see someone saying, Catherine saying, yes, some of this bothers me when I hold myself back. Yeah, totally. Okay, cool. We're going to move on to tip number 7. Another big reason why I think a lot of students have a lack of confidence on camera is because there's this little voice in the back of their head, that this little seed of doubt that's kind of whispering in their ear that they're wasting their audience's time. There's like a little niggling thing that's like, I don't know if this is going to be worth their time. I don't know if people are going to want to even stay for this, and just sort of doubting some of that. And let me know if you have experienced that. But tip number 7, for those of you who are like, am I wasting people's time, is that I want you to go in with this mantra. And this is the same one that I used when I had these same self-doubts, is be so good that like people cannot resist watching. Have your content be so compelling that it is a no-brainer. Or again, I think the easy route is, not feeling confident in your videos, telling yourself that like people don't want to watch, and just then filling yourself up with toxic positivity and like saying, no, I am good enough. No, I am an amazing creator. Or you go for, even better, you go for external validation, where you go to your parents or your siblings or your friends or your coworkers, and they fill you up with this toxic positivity. But it's like, if you have this instinct where you're like, I don't know if I'm good enough, maybe there is something to work on. And I don't say this in a negative way. I'm just saying, be realistic. Like, maybe your content could be better. Maybe your message could be better. Maybe your scripts could be better. Maybe you could be a better communicator, right? Don't lie to yourself if you know that it could be better, right? And so when I say be so good that they can't resist you, I'm saying that you go into every video that you are doing and you think about the content that you are creating. You think about the most powerful way to communicate it. You think about how to continue upskilling the way that you are articulating and verbalizing your message. You are thinking about the best ways to hook your audience in and use their pain points and tell stories in a compelling way, and make sure that like you're consistently evolving, right? That's the right mindset to have. Instead of, I'm wasting my audience's time, I want you to flip it to, I'm going to be so good. I'm so determined to be so good that it doesn't matter who they are. If they know me or don't, I'm going to be so good that they're not going to be able to resist listening in, right? Let me know if you agree with this. I see a couple people saying, yes, totally agree, room for improvement. Let me know if you agree with this in the comments, but this is so important. Don't lie to yourself. Don't be cruel to yourself. Don't beat yourself up either. But everybody could use work. There's always an evolution. There's always a next step. And if all you hear from yourself, from your friends, from your family, that everything's amazing and you're amazing, I would argue that you're surrounding yourself with the wrong people. The people who yes you, the people who are like-minded, the people who will tell you everything's amazing and peachy all the time and don't actually have constructive feedback for you, I think is a problem if you only have those people in your life. Like, you need those people who are going to also challenge you. Okay, cool. So that was problem 7 that happens with people who have lack of confidence, is maybe you feel like you're wasting your audience's time. We're going to move on to the next tip. And the next tip is for those of you who have a lack of confidence on camera because you are really afraid of getting hate. You're afraid of getting criticism. You're afraid of hearing something negative or being told something negative, right? Let me know if that is you. If you've ever had that fear, you can just comment me. Let me know if that's been you. Then this is a really simple one. I know you've been told to embrace criticism, and I know that's a common thing people say, but here's the thing, like, I want to go a step deeper as to why this is kind of an exciting thing when you do get criticism. I remember when I wrote my first book when I was a leadership coach, Teach Your Ducklings to Fly, and about a couple months after it was published, it was actually on my birthday, I woke up to a scathing review. It was just awful. It was like, look anywhere else for leadership advice, and this is a terrible book, and blah, blah, blah. I was just like, all right, cool. Like, I remember like at first being like a little shocked. I like hadn't received anything that negative, but then just like excited. I told you guys at the beginning of this video that I started my entrepreneurship journey in 2020, right? Like I went full time, I should say, in 2020, right? And then I launched the book February of 2020, 2 months after. And I had no audience at the time. I had no one. No one was there. No one was listening, right? And as my audience started to grow, like that hate comment came in. And so for me, it was sort of this exciting moment where I was like, oh shit, like people are paying attention now. Like I'd spent months worried about like, how am I going to get anyone to pay attention? How am I going to get anything going? And here's the thing. The people who are not taking action The people who are not doing anything will never get criticism. They will never get hate online, right? The people who are taking action, who are doing things, who are movers and shakers, it's going to happen, but like see it as a positive thing. Where like someone took the time out of their busy day to leave you a review because they were that emotionally impacted by whatever it is you said. You inspired that emotion from them, right? And so that's kind of like an exciting thing that your work, and again, it's negative, but your work was able to inspire that level of passion in anyone, which is, I think a really positive and a really awesome thing. So again, see it as that positive, embrace the criticism, and know that the people who are doing nothing will never get any type of positive or negative feedback at all. Okay, let's move on to the next tip. So that was, again, people who, don't feel confident because they're worried about hate. That tip was for you. Tip number 9, and we've talked about this a little bit. I've actually done in-depth videos about this, but tip number 9 of 10 goes out to those of you who are worried that like their audience is too small. What's the point? And so when you're going live or when you're creating video, you might in the back of your head just keep hearing like, I only have 5 people on my email list, or I only have 100 people in my Facebook group, or I only have X many people on my newsletter, whatever. You have a small audience, right? And here's the thing, right? Like what I want to really emphasize, if you're that person who is feeling that lack of confidence because you have a small audience, know that like you are not just creating video for the people who are in your current audience. You are working for your future audience. And building a business truly, and this sounds, I don't even like saying this, but this sounds fluffy, but it is true, is having a ridiculous amount of faith in yourself and in what you are doing that people are going to come. And it's not, again, toxic positivity, because you are following through with action. You are following through with self-development and learning and all the action that's required, right? But if you 100% believe in yourself, right, and you know this is going to happen, when you have that thought about, is my audience too small? Like, is this really worth my time? You remind yourself that this thing, you are not working for the 5 people. Sure, you're there to help those 5 people, but you are working for the 1,000 people that will be here in 12 months. You are working for the 20,000 people that will be here in 3 years. And it means like, if you're worried about creating video because your audience is too small, and again, I say this completely with love, you are thinking short term. You are. And I would worry like you're thinking about giving up soon. Because if you're thinking only about the present moment, do I have enough people right now? And you're not thinking long term about all the people to come. You don't believe that there are all these people that are going to be here soon. I would argue you're thinking very, very short term and that you are in survival mode. And I wish someone had said this to me when I was like, is this worth my time? Is this worth my energy? Right? Let me know if you're having any good light bulb moments through this. I see people saying great reframe. Sabria saying, hey, dropping in to say hello. Good to see you here. Awesome. So work for your future audience. Work for the people that are going to be there and have that ultimate confidence where you're like, I know people are going to be here. I know people are going to go back and watch this library. Where, like, I'll give an example. This isn't video, but going back to that example with writing my first book, I didn't have an audience. I didn't have anyone except my clients and my friends and family who were there to support me. I didn't have an online presence at the time. But I was like, I know that if I do this, people eventually are going to come because I'm taking all the right steps. And that's the thing they did. Once I took the right steps and I was like, all right, they didn't read when it launched, but they went back and they backpedaled and they watched the old videos and they read the content, right? So have that faith. So if I hope somebody who is struggling with that. Is it worth my time because I don't have enough people? I hope this gets you into action taking mode. All right. So let me pause here for a second. We are on to tip number 10. We've jam-packed so much in such a short amount of time. So what I'd love for you to do at this point is go into the comments and give me your number one takeaway so far. Let me know what your biggest learning is so far in this entire video. We've jam-packed so much in such a short amount of time. So let me know what your biggest takeaway has been. And we're going to go on to this final tip. So this final tip is going out to the people that are feeling like they need a lot of external things to make their video happen, specifically tech, specifically like trying to edit. So all of that front where you feel like you need to over edit, you feel like you need the ring light and the camera and the fancy microphone and the fancy background, right? And for those of you who feel like that, there's a couple of tips that I want to give. So the first thing is that challenge your belief system. I said this at the beginning of the video, but challenge your belief system. Do I really need, for example, do I really need to edit my videos? I over edited everything to the point where it was so awkward, and I'm not a good video editor, right? I'm really not. It was awkward, right? So I was like, okay, do I really need to do this? And that's when I was like, you know what? I'm going to get really good at lives. I don't have to edit anything. And, I sell all the time with my lives. I don't have to edit everything, right? So it's number one, challenging your belief system. And it's knowing, all right, what do you actually need? And here's the truth. What you actually need to get on camera is some sort of smartphone or smart device, right? With a camera and audio. And you need a social media profile. That's it. That is all you need. And when you start, your biggest thing is focusing on your message, focusing and making sure that your content is transformational. Your content is challenging your audience's belief system, right? And here's the juicy tip that I want to offer those of you who feel like you need something external, but you're so overwhelmed by the tech, right? Where you feel like, you feel like you have to look or sound or be a certain way. I'll give a more concrete example. I have been watching a lot of YouTube videos lately. I'm doing a lot of exploring on YouTube lately. And there's a lot of video creators who even now, even though I teach people video scripting, video live, that's almost 2,000 students, there's still people I'll see who have this like super fancy tech and their content's good. And I'm like, oh my God, like that is so intimidating, right? Where I'm like, how do you get your lighting like that? And how do you get the everything, like the way it looks like that? And I'm like I said, I'm not someone who's super great with tech either. Like that's not how I've built my business, teaching people about tech. I've built my business on helping people become transformational video creators, content creators, right? The substance of it, right? Not necessarily all of the superficial, just having good enough superficial. And here's the advice that I give myself in those moments. And it's that I don't need to pretend to be someone other than myself. I don't need to pretend to be someone that I am not. I don't need to level up and try to evolve to someone that I am not. Right? Like my first ever video was sitting on my couch with my cracked iPhone. And then it became, me with my laptop and a microphone. And then it became my ring light and my laptop and this other setting. And then now it's double screens and an external camera and a microphone and a ring light and external lighting and, upgrading my background. So it's a slow but steady evolution that happens, but the whole time authentically yourself. Right? So don't pretend to be anyone other than yourself. When you start to try to become someone that you are not, like that's when there's a problem, right? That's when there is that issue that ends up happening, right? Where you don't feel confident, because if you're pretending someone to be or not, like how can you be confident in that, right? You can't. So let me pause there. Let me say hi to let me look at the chat. I see Rosie's here. First time I've come across you. Loving the vibe. Awesome. Good to have you here. Catherine, I love the idea of creating content for your future audience. Someone else saying, I rely on presentations and want to be able to speak eloquently and remember all my talking points without it. Yeah, I love it. Cool. So I can't believe it. We got through all 10 of these tips in literally 40 minutes, which is pretty crazy. I tried to be as quick and as efficient as we could in this live. I hope you've gotten like so much value out of today's video. I know that we covered a lot in a really, really short amount of time. So if you could drop what your number one learning or takeaway was, so I can have a sense of what hit home with you. And just a reminder, every single week I'm going live. So far, it's been every Friday at 2:15 Eastern. It's been really consistent. Hope you guys are loving the trainings, whether you're watching here in the Facebook group or on YouTube. And if you want more help with your confidence on camera, you want more help with your profitable video strategy, you can sign up for the Video Skills Lab. It's literally $9 a month. You get live coaching. We've got a library of content and mentorship to basically help you build the ultimate video library that helps you build an amazing audience who reads about your work. So the link's in the description of this video if you would like to join. But otherwise, I'm so grateful to have all of you here. Thank you so much for being here, taking time out of your busy day. If you could drop a hashtag live if you watch live, hashtag replay if you watch the replay, and I will talk to you all real soon.